In this video, I will give a little history on the water cars UP has assigned to the STEAM program, how I constructed my HO scale Jim Adams, and some close-up shots of the finished car. Jim Adams and Joe Jordan began life in the 1930s as tenders for the first batch of UP 800 series 484 locomotives. When the steamers were retired in the late 50s, the tenders were converted for use on the gas turbines. The ends were sloped and 6 heaters per tender were added to keep the 24,000 gallons of bunker C oil flowing. UP retired the turbines in the early 70s and the tenders were used for fuel storage. Maintenance of way numbers were assigned to the tenders at this time. In 1989, UP transferred the tenders to the STEAM program in Cheyenne, where they were used as auxiliary water cars for 844 and 3985. The water cars received their current numbers in 2003 and were completely rebuilt in 2006 and 2007. This rebuild significantly changed the shape and capacity of the cars. They now more closely resemble the shape of the original tenders, hold 28,000 gallons each, and have provisions for steam and MU pass-through. The cars are named at this time to Jim Adams and Joe Jordan in recognition of longtime employees of the STEAM program. The water cars as they look today are not commercially available in HO scale from any manufacturer. Versions of the water cars as they appear before being rebuilt are available in brass, but do not come close to the look of today's water cars. I considered reworking brass tenders or the plastic Athearn turbine tenders, but decided building from scratch would be easier. This is my first attempt at a scratch build project. The project started by researching pictures and video that I had taken while chasing 3985. I also used the internet and commercial videos to supplement the angles of the water car I did not have. Selected pictures were printed out for handy reference. I obtained a few key measurements like length between the coupler faces, wheelbase, and truck centers, but not enough to make a drawing to build by. Most everything was created by eyeballing the pictures. After a lengthy search for truck side frames, I purchased 2 pair of Greenway Products TS-950 3-axle tender trucks. These trucks are close, but the wheelbase is a little short. The trucks also came with 33-inch wheels, which are way too small. The prototype wheels appeared to be at least 40 inches in diameter, but I do not know for sure. The Greenway trucks were not designed for wheels that big, so I compromised on some Kadee 38-inch wheels. Even so, a significant amount of brass had to be ground away from the trucks to fit the 38-inch wheels. To aid assembly, I drilled new mounting holes in the bolsters, as the factory hole is directly underneath the center axle. The brake cylinders were made from styrene, and all other added parts were brass, which are not shown in this picture. The trucks are airbrushed Floco Bright Silver. I chose to build the body like an aircraft fuselage with bulkheads, stringers, and skin using styrene. The 30 thousandths thick bulkheads were cut and shaped using the tender of 844. 4 holes were drilled in the stack of bulkheads to accept 1/4-inch styrene tubes. Each car has 7 ribs. Here's a shot of the initial assembly. The roof and ends are 30 thousandths thick. The sides are 10 thousandths thick to conform to the bulkheads easier. The rear received several layers of 30 thousandths and was shaped to conform the compound curves with the Dremel, files, and sandpaper. After the basic body was completed and wet sanded, 10 lead weights were added and secured with latex caulk. A frame was constructed from 1/8-inch styrene tube. Additional styrene was used to reinforce areas where the trucks and couplers mount. The body was then glued to the frame. While there are some details added to the side and bottom, most of the remaining time was spent adding details to the ends and roof. Detail associates and detail west parts were used along with styrene and brass rod. The brake wheel is a Kadee number 2045 modern wheel. With most of the details complete, I added a base for the flag on the sides of the car before adding all the rivets to the roof and sides. The Micro-Mark rivets were very close to the prototype cars and are a very cool product to work with. I sealed the rivet decals with several coats of gloss lacquer. Just as the prototype, Armor Yellow was airbrushed first, then masked off to spray the Harbor Mist Gray. Next, a coat of gloss was applied to aid the decal adhesion. I made all the decals from scratch using Micro-Mark white and clear decal paper. After applying the decals, they were sealed with more gloss. The end ladders were constructed from brass strip. I made a jig to hold the rungs and sides while soldering. The ladders were painted, then glued with CA to the car. The trucks and couplers were installed, and lastly the flags on the sides. The flag decals were placed on 10/1000 thick styrene cut to shape, then glued to the bases already on the car sides. Here's a view of the roof. Another view of the front. A view of the left side. A view of the rear. And finally a view of the bottom. Here's a detailed shot of the front left corner showing that the trucks are chained to the frame. Here's a detailed shot of one of the trucks. Here's a detailed shot of some of the brake gear. And a detailed shot of the left rear. Here's a zoomed in shot of the rear. See the light assembly, all the piping, all the details are on the prototype cars. One thing that's missing here is the MU cable, which goes in the center box. Here's a detailed shot of the flag, a detailed shot of the reservoir tank underneath the car, and a detailed shot of the right front. I originally tried to build both cars in parallel, but after I started work, it became apparent quickly that I needed to focus on one car so I didn't get burned out. The Jim Adams took me over a year to complete, and I expect the Joe Jordan in the foreground will take me just as long. Thanks for watching my video on the Jim Adams, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to see the latest updates on my modeling projects.